Hello everyone and welcome to another exciting episode of FiST Chat, the vodcast that covers topics related to film science and technology. My name is Ben Warner and I'm joined once again by my good friend and colleague Steve Kern. How you doing there, Steve?
Hi everyone, I'm doing really well, just back from Sydney actually. It's nice to be home.
Oh, you jet set around quite often, don't you? Very good, very good.
Searching out stories for FiST Chat all the time.
Oh, that's what we want to hear, that's what we want to hear. So just as a reminder, our website www.fistchat.com, that's where you'll get all our social media and internet email links. So if you want to interact with us, just hop on the site and you'll be able to get us there. Fire through any questions you might have or anything like that. We'll incorporate them into the series. So we're always interested to hear what you think. It's not just us talking; it's an interactive forum. So
absolutely.
So on that very interesting sort of note, now we're going to be talking about privacy.
What privacy, Ben?
Well, that's what I was about to ask. What privacy? I mean, technologically, we've come, you know, in leaps and bounds in the past 10-15 years, and there's a lot about the technology that's really helped us to, I guess, interact and connect us in far greater ways than we ever thought possible. But then there's, I guess, this sort of other flip side that certain groups are worried about in terms of your actual privacy and your ability to, you know, be able to hold on to it. Yeah. And I guess one of the things we're going to, I guess, cover today is whether that actually exists anymore. I mean, just broadly, what do you think?
Well, if you're not on the internet, you can probably still be pretty private. Look, honestly, if you've got a Facebook page under your own name with your own details, if you basically have a mobile phone or are posting anything regularly on the internet, as you and I are, I don't think you necessarily are as private as you could be. And one way to find out your level of privacy is probably to Google yourself. If you show up, everyone can see you.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, just as an example, like with what we're doing, we forfeited, I guess, in a certain sense, our privacy by doing this vodcast because, you know, our faces are on the internet now. You can go up, you can watch us, you know who we are. So in that sense, so yeah, I hope you're happy. You did read the fine print before you signed on, didn't you?
Yeah, I do. I mean, there's probably people out there with facial recognition apps right now, you know, running them over us to have a look at every otother photo of us on the internet as well, Ben.
Well, hopefully some people will think we're an apparition on their screens or something like that.
Why do you think I always beam in on such low quality video?
Absolutely. So if we have a look at like some of the, I guess some of the aspects to it, the big one at the moment is the ability for smartphones to track your location. Apple and now Google have gotten into hot water over this. That it started with the iPhone being able to track the user's location, and it did it by storing a file on the iPhone that was hidden. A group of researchers, I should have looked that up, but they actually discovered this, even though it's been well known for quite some time. But they developed this software, and I actually tried it. I downloaded it and chucked it in to see how it worked, and it came up with a nice little map, and then it came up with all these dots saying at least where my iPhone had gone since I'd had it, which has spooked a few people. But it's interesting because I would have thought that, you know, regardless, Apple, you know, okay, so that they're tracking you with that, and they're saying it's inadvertent, and they've since removed it. But mobile phones, you know, a carrier is going to be able to figure out exactly where you've been, you know, for probably your entire history, and they've been, you know, mobile phones have been around for like 10-15 years.
Well, you've just uncovered there who the greatest threat to your privacy is. It's not so much you know, Joe Blow who's using Google, but it's more the media. If the media want to come after you for whatever reason, the best thing that's ever happened to them has been the internet. You know, they can find out anything they want. And just on your iPhone, maybe you should do a Da Vinci Code and throw it in the back of a passing truck.
Yeah, that's right. Well,
only when you're in trouble next time.
Well, you hear stories, of course, of people who say steal handbags or even the iPhones, and then the person who's had it stolen from goes to the police, and the police are able to track it via GPS. And there was one case I remember, I think last year, where an iPhone user had their bag stolen, and they had it recovered within 2 or 3 hours because the location services were switched on.
Well, just to get back on that though, I mean, this is just another example by the media, just getting a story that they can panic people about. The flip side is exactly what you're saying. I mean, technology itself is neither good nor bad, it's how it's used. And, we now have communications technology that allow us to track things like stolen property. Personal property, if it's stolen, you'll be able to find it. If someone steals your iPhone, chances are you can find it and bring them to justice. And as the government would always say, I don't know what you've got to be worried about, because if you're not doing anything wrong, you've got nothing to hide.
Absolutely. But I mean, the other thing too is that these smartphone makers, and it's not just Apple, like Google as well with Android, and also Microsoft with Windows Phone, and probably a couple of others that are coming out onto the market. They use these services to your benefit. There are actual benefits to this as well. If you actually use the location services option on your iPhone, for example, there are certain benefits that allow you to use it. For example, there are apps that will be able to determine where, if you want to find a restaurant to eat at that's close by that suits a certain taste or whatever, or if you want to use the Google Maps in the iPhone, you can then use it as kind of like a pseudo GPS and get yourself around. So there are advantages to that, but it seems like people get sort of freaked out at this idea that, if you switch this on, then Apple can track you. But the other point, of course, too, is that they think there's some insidious reason behind it. At the end of the day, they're a corporation, and if they're going to take your privacy information, all they're going to use it for is to make money.
Whether they're taking it directly from your bank account or whether you're giving it to them out of your bank account. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but the thing is, they don't need to, well, Apple in particular doesn't need to take it out of your bank account because they have a way of convincing you to pay them. So, but anyway, I mean...
But you're right. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, people sign up for all sorts of things on the internet using their email addresses. People do marketing surveys in the hope to win something that they're never going to win, put in their personal details, and yet it's only when someone says it's evil Apple or evil Google that, people get hysterical about it. I mean, the truth is that, exactly as you say, they're actually providing you with a service. And, probably the real issue is whether or not you're aware you're getting the service and whether or not you want that service. And I mean, we've got to get back to Google Maps on this. In Australia, that created a lot of trouble last year with the whole privacy issue. And, that is a very good question. I mean, it's one thing, I can conceal my personal data, but if you come past and take photographs of my house and, of my pool from the air or something, is that really right?
Yeah, that's where you kind of draw the line. People, like, say, for example, got upset about Apple's location tracking, but then I don't think that that's necessarily crossing the same line as what you've just described. I can type in my old home address and see my old house or even my current house or whatever, even though it's out of date, but it's still there. So,
well, when they update it though, at some stage you'll be able to see what cars are there. They might obscure the number plates, but you can tell what make and model of car. And if you know the address, well, do you really need to know? Do you really need to know the number plate?
Yeah,
you can go around there then yourself and have a look.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just broadening it up as well. I mean, if you look at things like Facebook, Twitter, and email as well, people, I think, I know there's, I know specific examples of people who've published things on Facebook and Twitter and even email. As soon as you press the send button or the post button, you
can't get it back.
You can't get it back. And I think somewhere buried in Facebook's terms and conditions, I don't think it ever actually gets deleted, even if you delete your profile.
Yeah,
so it's there forever, and people get into trouble over it. I mean, the famous one that I can remember from, I think last year, was Stephanie Rice, the Olympic swimmer, when she got into trouble with that infamous tweet of hers, and then it made front page news. You just got to be careful with what you post.
Well, especially because people can retweet it.
And there's like 20 billion or whatever tweets going on at any given time, and however many people are doing it. And there's, I'm sure, tweeters that have got nothing better to do than tweet these things, or retweet these things.
Exactly. You know, so it is a big issue. You know, like I guess obviously though, you know, you wouldn't go and scream it out in the street, but at the same time, at least only people that hear you can then repeat it. You know, when it's down in writing, when it's in an image, ask any moronic NRL or AFL footballer.
Exactly. But maybe that's just something to do with the internet itself. It kind of gives you this mindset where you feel like it's not going to do that. Like it's like it encourages you to publish things or write things or whatever, and it feels like because there isn't that direct connection with somebody, that it's not actually somehow not public or something like that. That's what they say with email. You can, if any sort of corporation or, like, you know, I work for government, the first thing they tell you is, if you're not prepared to have it on the front page of the paper, don't write it in an email.
Yeah, well, it's so true. And I mean, you know, I think people misunderstand, you know, because you feel like you're only talking to your friends on Facebook, but you're not. You're talking to the whole world, and same with Twitter, and same with all these things. And I think people feel that when they submit their details online, you know, or even through their PlayStation, perhaps, you know, that somehow it's safe and secure. But the truth might be that, you know, it's not. If you put anything out there, I mean, you wouldn't, you know, like leave photos that you didn't want people to see of yourself out in the street. So why would you put them online? Yeah,
exactly. And that's the funny thing. I mean, the Sony example is just frightening, really, you know, a corporation can just, you know, allow itself to be hacked. And it sounded like it was done in a very simple manner, like there wasn't much security in place.
Well, who would have thought that, you know, the PlayStation network would get hacked? You know, until it happens. But there's going to be a lot more of this. And in terms of privacy, I think give the next 10 years, especially as cybercrime becomes a little bit more sophisticated, and you're going to see, like, people's attitudes really change.
I was listening to another podcast that deals with Apple Macs, and one of the things that they actually got off on a side topic, because they were talking about the location issue, and they were saying that they were surprised that phones in general haven't been seriously hacked yet. Like because apparently they're quite open.
Well, they are. They're open part of the cellular network.
Yeah. So, and it's just amazing that nobody has really got into them yet. And I think if that ever does happen, that's really going to scare the hell out of a lot of people.
Well, just on that, in the early days of analog cell phones, okay, you could hack them with scanners.
No, okay, yeah.
Right. No one's brought out a digital scanner for 3G networks, but if they did, you'd be able to, like, just trap everything. It's open. It's open data.
Yeah.
The hardest bit will be there's be so much chatter on there you won't know what to steal.
Exactly. But I mean, I guess the moral of the story when thinking about a lot of these things is that the next time you think about posting a disparaging remark about your boss, or thinking about going on a rant on your email, or
on FiST chat.
Yeah, or on FiST chat. But I'm perfectly happy with everything I say on here.
So am I. I mean, we only tell the truth anyway.
Yeah, exactly. You better have a bit of a think about it, that if you don't want it out there, don't post it. And I guess maybe just, you know, thinking about it just in general, I mean, do you think even if you wanted to, you could maintain complete privacy in today's world?
Well, I do know someone who I haven't seen for a couple of years, but he's not on the voting enrolment. He doesn't have a driver's license. Has always shared houses without ever appearing on the rent. Doesn't collect benefits of any sort. Doesn't have a Medicare card. So I guess What sort of life was it? Well, I met him at a party. He didn't seem to be having the best time. But, you know, with regard to the internet, I think you will really see attitudes change. I think, you know, Facebook and probably wide scale adoption of internet thanks to broadband made everyone feel like they could be themselves on the internet. But I think in a few years you'll see a few really nasty things happen to people, like the Sony incident, and I think you'll start seeing that people have internet identities.
Absolutely.
Quite separate from their personal ones.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's probably a good place to finish up. So we'll have a think about our privacy and our thoughts, and see if we can do anything about it. But thanks again, Steve, for the chat. Always interesting. So yeah. Any final thoughts on this, or?
Oh well, I'd love people to tweet us with what they think. You know, is there anyone out there who's got any good ideas on internet security and protecting yourself? I mean, that might be something that we can talk about in the future. If there's anyone who thinks the whole world's going like Total Recall or something worse, let us know about that as well.
Absolutely. All right, so yeah, we'll finish up there, and we'll be back next week with another topic. So until next week, have a good week, and we'll catch you then.